Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline. Not gonna lie, it's a tough episode this week, this time. Things are tough here at Cookie Towers, and I wanted to not sort of sugarcoat that. We're going to talk about some of the depressing things about this time of year, how this time of year can be difficult. We're going to talk about some lighter things in some ways. I took my son to the cinema for the first time. I'm going to go through what that was like. And trying to leave the house at this time of year. I'm going to talk about what that's like. Unfortunately, there is some bad news, and there is a bad news portion of the podcast to go through, unfortunately. But yeah, I cover it all in the podcast. There is TV, movies, and games. So there is a way to sort of make it a little better towards the end. But it's a tough episode. If you are struggling in any way, shape, or form, you should absolutely reach out. If not to us here at CookieCast, reach out to just anyone. But we will happily talk to you. Any of us here will talk to you if you want to reach out. Before we start, do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and so on. Right, let's get into it. Here we go. This is CookieCast, Darkest Timeline. Hello. How are you doing? Are you well? Are you good? These are important questions. I ask these all the time. Never have they been more important than they are at this point in time. If for any reason you are not doing okay, reach out. Get in touch. Say hi. We'll say hi back. Somebody can reach out to you if you can reach out to us. Get us on social media. Get us on email. Just send us a post on your favourite social media platform. Just say hi and we'll say hi back. And we'll check that you're okay. And if you're not okay, we'll do whatever we can to make you okay. It's important. So, if you need to reach out, reach out. And if you don't want to reach out to us, reach out to somebody. So it's a tough time of year. I know this won't release for 3 weeks. And ironically, in 3 weeks' time, it will be the absolute worst time of year. It is a difficult time of year for a lot of people. And if it's a difficult time of year for you and you don't know what to do or where to turn, reach out to somebody. I struggle a lot at this time of year. I know other people struggle a lot. I know there's a lot of stresses and strains and worries and, is there enough? Have you got enough? Have they got enough? Are you enough? Just reach out. I've struggled for years at this time of year. And it's only as each year passes with all of these children and this family and whatever that I've realised that I need to do more and I need to be doing more to get into the spirit. But it's not easy, and it's not easy for everybody. So if you're struggling, reach out. If you're struggling, shout up. I'm not here, take this. I am not doing well. I'm not doing well at this moment in time. At this moment in time, I have eaten my body weight in food in like 5 hours. I am struggling to stay awake. I am struggling to stay motivated. I'm struggling to keep all the food in my system. But that's not all I'm struggling with. I'm struggling with other things. And for me, the evenings are the worst because you're busy during the day. So it really does help to talk. Yeah. I'll tell you something that I'm struggling with at the moment. I deal with it a couple of times a week. I've been dealing with this for the last couple of weeks. I've been going to work and I've been talking to a friend of mine, someone who's been on the podcast in the past. I think just the NFL podcast. And they revealed to me that due to the fact that his wife and his daughter work for the same company, but they work different locations, but for the same company, they are working on Christmas Day. Now, let's be clear. There are people out there that work Christmas Day, and for some families, it's completely normal. It's a normal thing because it's always been that. It's always been that way. It was always that way. You know, my mum used to get up and go to work on Christmas Day, and etc. I remember times in the past where there was conversations about whether my family would work around Christmas. I don't necessarily think Christmas Day was mentioned, but I am sure there was a point in time in the early days that there was a mention of it. But personally never had to deal with it. But I know, nurses, police, doctors, paramedics, all the essential services. It's just part of the job. At various points in time, they have to work Christmas Day. I seem to think that I feel almost sure like I had to have something medical related on Christmas Day. But yeah, not a story for today. However, my friend's wife and daughter, they do not work in the medical field. They are not firefighters. They are not ambulance drivers. No, they work for a supermarket. A supermarket chain who will remain nameless right at this point in time because, However, said supermarkets are open on Christmas Day. And I absolutely cannot believe it. Now, I say that, yet this here world that we live in, I absolutely can believe it. And the conversation was, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And my friend was like, no, they did it last year. And one of the stores did good business. And I was like, for what? And he was like, when they opened the shutters in preparation to open the doors on Christmas morning, there were people outside banging on the doors asking if they were open yet. I was like, that is absolutely disgusting. And he went on to say that one of the two locations did very good business and the other one did not. I was like, okay, well, there you go. The other one doesn't need to open then. Only one of them needs to open if that's really necessary. I was like, what the fuck are people buying on Christmas Day? I was like, what? You're popping in because you forgot to buy the gravy? Buy it the day before. He was like, no, people were buying like, lottery tickets, cigarettes, alcohol, stuff like that. It's like, buy it the day before. Don't be ridiculous. He then went on to say that the shops in question are on one of the shops in question is on a street that has other shops, and they will not be the only shop that's open on that day. And I was like, it's disgusting that we've reached this point, because said supermarket chain, I believe, at this point in time is the only one. But full well that if any of the other supermarkets thought they could get away with it, they would. And the more that one's there going, well, we're open and we're making money, it's only going to take a short amount of time before the others like, fuck it, we're opening. Get the staff in, we're opening on Christmas Day. Fuck them, fuck their families. We need to earn another few quid. It's disgusting. It's absolutely, it should be illegal. And once upon a time, it would have been viewed as illegal. Not necessarily, actually illegal, but it would have been viewed that way. I said to him, I was like, what are you going to do then? You're going to come round to ours? I was like, it'll be absolute chaos, but you're welcome to come round. Turned out, I think he was quite looking forward to it in a way. I was like, okay, I'll leave you to it. He was like, well, no, I can get all the jobs done. I was like, yeah, I get it, but wow, bro. Yeah, depressing, that one. That's depressing. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat that one. That is depressing. I took my son to the cinema for the first time. Been working up to taking him. I wanted to do it as a big family event. Get all of us there. And I just randomly happened to look something up, and there was a movie that was literally the perfect thing for him to go and see on the day that it was just me and him. And I mentioned it to Leanne, and she was like, I think you should do it. So we prepped him day before, I think it was. We were sort of saying that these are the rules for when you go to the cinema. If you were to ever go to the cinema, you have to sit still, be quiet, and if you need anything, you got to tap like the person you were on, tap Daddy on the arm, and you got to say, "Oh, Daddy, I need to go to the toilet." And I'll say, "Okay, then let's go to the toilet." But you got to make sure you go to the toilet before you go in. And I went through all this stuff the day before for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And I booked some tickets. And not only did we manage to get over there in time, we managed to get over there with time enough for me to nip and do a couple of jobs, which I was super pleased about. So that ticked some boxes for me. And then we went and we got in there. We got parked up, got out of the car, and he was like, "Daddy?" I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Is this the cinema?" I was like, "Yes, it is the cinema." I was like, "Shall we go and see what they might have on for us to watch?" He's like, "I think we should watch Bad Guys." I was like, "Well, matey, Bad Guys isn't on at the cinema because it's on our TV at home. But there might be something on for us to watch." Now, previously, I'd said to him, "What's your favourite thing to do?" And he said, "I like playing with toys." Okay. What's your second favourite thing to do? He was like, "I like watching things." I'm like, okay. And what's your favourite thing to watch? He said, "I like watching Paw Patrol." I was like, "Well, isn't that interesting?" So we went to the cinema, and I was like, right, I want to get a coffee, so there's something for me in the process. I was like, let's go and stand in this queue of 2 people. And 10 minutes later, when we were still stood in the queue of 2 people, I was like, oh, well, at least we were missing all the adverts. And I'd taken him to a shop and we'd got some sweets because, although it's his first cinema trip, I'm absolutely not shelling out for cinema sweets. But he did manage to get a cup out of me, one of the novelty cups. I was like, yeah, that's fine. It makes it a little bit more special. And we went to the toilet, and we went and found our screen, and we went in. The adverts had already started. Some good looking upcoming movies. The new Sony movie looks very good. And then we sat, and it started. And the Paw Patrol theme music started playing, and I looked over at him, and he was just absolutely glued to it. And that was that. And he mostly managed to follow all the rules. I had to sort of reaffirm a couple of things because I was like, oh, if you need to go to the toilet, you tap me on the arm and you whisper, Daddy, I need to go to the toilet. But we'd been very specific about if you need to go to the toilet. What it should have been is if you need anything, you need to whisper, because he'd been eating something and he turned to me and he was like, Daddy, I've finished these. And I was like, all right, matey. So that was that. And we left. And we decided to go home. And I wanted to get him home so he could have a nap if he needed to. And it took us 45 minutes to get home, because the roads are just completely unbearable at the moment. So, yeah. Christmas done, ticked off. I was like, oh, we need to go for a big family trip to the cinema now. And yes, as if by magic, a trailer popped up for a movie that all the children might want to go and see. So we'll see about that one. As I think we know at this point in time, in the month of December, I like to try and lose a stone. I feel it's a good way to end the year. I feel it's a good way to earn your Christmas dinner. I've been through this many times before. I'm not sure how popular a theory it is. I know a couple of friends of mine do not subscribe to my theory. And I don't blame them, if I'm honest. December and Christmas time is one of the worst times of the year for some of the best food of the year. But my point is, if you're going to eat the biggest calorie meal of your year, you should earn it. That's my thinking, and that's the way I work. Today, a little peek behind the curtain, it is the 8th of December today, and as of this morning, I have achieved my goal. No prizes for guessing how. Finished an 8-day fast today. I was 0.2 ounces off my lowest ever weight. Little bit of a sad one, that one. But there's a bit of a plan to keep on top of things through the month of December, and hopefully romp home victorious on Christmas Day. I've got this weird thing. So if I can get down to my lowest weight, for example, after fasting for X number of days, and if it's very difficult to get those last few pounds or even ounces as it is by the end, my question is, how do you stay at that weight? The moment you eat anything, X number of pounds is going straight back on. I feel like some sort of, like, I don't know, strange kind of absorbent human, because, like, you eat and you can feel, like, your arms expanding, like the muscle, like, expanding. Like, I was sat earlier, like, rubbing my legs because my legs hurt. And I was like, oh, wow, I can feel like my legs are filling back out. And the stomach has very much returned with a vengeance. Obviously, I haven't put a stone back on. But I bet you cash money, if I step on the scales tomorrow, I'll weigh half a stone more than I did this morning. So you get all the way down through whatever means, fasting, intermittent fasting, low calorie, low carbs, keto, carnivore, whatever your preferred choice is. You get down, you hit your goal, you go, cool. How do you then get to keep that goal when you then try and return to some sort of normality? Even if you say, I'm going to eat, for a man, it's what, 2,200 calories. So you say, I'm going to eat 2,000 calories and I'm going to exercise as normal. You are in a calorie deficit at that point, but you are putting food into a system that has no food in it. You are naturally going to put on weight. So is it a case that you have to slim down, get really low, and then work on the principle that whatever you consume from that point on, you're going to put back on, so you have to get lower than you need to? Honestly, my lowest weight, I genuinely wonder if it is the lowest I can ever possibly get. Now then, I am going to test that theory. Over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to test the theory. Is it actually the lowest? I will say this, when it got to eating time to eat something, I didn't want to. And I actually pushed it for nearly 4 hours. At the point in time that I was going to break, I went an additional nearly 4 hours without eating. And started to wonder, I started getting these weird sort of ponderings where I was like, can I just go without? This time's been a little different. I've consumed protein shakes, which some of them I think are fine. It's just a protein shake. Others have been more of the homemade variety, so they've had a couple of extra things in. So fasting is probably a stretch to say it's a genuine fast. However, I work on the principle that as long as the calories are under 500 for a day, and those calories are mostly liquid, then it's still doing what it's supposed to. It's still ticking that box. And over time, knowing the way things go, if you're getting 2 pounds a day, then you're getting 2 pounds a day. You know, eating absolutely nothing and drinking water versus having a very thick protein shake and still getting the same result. What difference does it make? You the whole thing is to try and stem the muscle loss. So if you give your body what it needs and you're working out, your body's like, hey, I'm expending this and I need that, so give it to me. And in theory, it all works out. Plan moving forward is to fast a day, eat a day, fast a day kind of thing for the next week, to not get too crazy with stuff, because unfortunately that is a tendency, not just for me personally, but for anybody who's fasted. The tendency is to just basically go off the rails the moment you stop. I thought I was doing reasonably well. And then I came home from work and realised, oh yeah, I had a big long list of stuff that I haven't eaten for over a week. Best consume it all now. So, yeah. That was a great idea at the time. Not so much now. I do wish I'd not bothered. Just working towards the goal. I read some stuff from one of Arnold's daily email things that were saying how you end the year is how you go into the next year. And not only is it psychological, there is physiological component where if you're like a good low weight when you start the year, then that's how you'll trend through the year. But if you overindulge through the, as they would refer it, the holidays, you are going to struggle in the next year. I don't know how true that is. Most of the stuff that he seems to put in these emails are largely science-backed. There's usually a study attached or two. So I generally think it's okay to sort of say, yeah. And it's what works, isn't it? What's worked for me. Yeah. A couple of things left here on the list before we move into the entertainment stuff. I was doing stuff in order, but I'm going to switch something around real quick. I had 3 of the 4 children yesterday, and I was like, right, what we're going to do with the day. I'd already planned the day, quite in-depth planning for the day. I wanted to see what they would think, if they had any suggestions or ideas. My youngest daughter decided to fire off one activity which I was like, are you insane? Because it was an outdoor activity in the rain. I'm like, just give that one a little bit more thought. Another suggestion was the exact same activity indoors. And I was like, we are not getting anywhere close to the place that does that because of the roads. So, point being is this time of year is impossible to get anywhere. And a lot of people I've spoken to have been talking about the fact that they're essentially just staying in the house because there's absolutely no point in leaving the house. Seen some stuff about the designer outlet in York, where it's located, where it's situated. 90% of the year, it's kind of fine. Kind of works. It's a very large roundabout. It's got a very big, long drive down to get into it. It's sort of back from the big roundabout, so you just go there, and you're there, and you're done. However, come December, that roundabout is completely useless. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 entrances or exits. It's a double roundabout that's essentially been turned into one roundabout and has 9 entrance or exits. And people have been commenting on being stuck there for 2 hours. And this was at the start of December. Typically, where I'd planned for us to go would have involved going off that roundabout. However, I chose to plan a different, slightly longer route, and did reap the benefits because, other than for one small bit, we did not get stuck in any traffic. We did have a little bit of a treacherous trip home. But more and more stuff I'm seeing, more and more people are commenting. Like I say, people are saying that they're not going out anywhere because they can't get anywhere, and what's the point? There's been a lot of stuff flying around work today about people who drive to work not being able to get parked at 8 o'clock in the morning, and people are saying, well, why is it? What's different? And people are like, it's the Christmas market. And some people are like, it's not the Christmas market, it's the hotels in the area. People are hotel patrons are using the car parks because more people are in town, and people commenting on how terrible the Christmas market is. But then, when you go into town, you walk around the Christmas market, it's absolutely rammed. If I'm honest, this is kind of what I was talking about before. It's such an awful time of year for so many. I was talking to somebody today who was like, "Oh, I fucking hate Christmas," and I'm like, "Why? It's the best time of year." And they sort of went through some bits and pieces, and I was like, I kind of agree with you. I do kind of agree with you, but part of me trying to do this whole new yay for Christmas, I can't really get sucked into that kind of conversation because it's not healthy for my yay for Christmas attitude. But I did agree. City centre is absolutely rammed. The roads are insane. You can't get anywhere. You can't park anywhere. Everything is wildly more expensive than it ever is. People are just an absolute delight. I drove to take my son this morning to drop him off, and honestly, I saw two situations on the same street, and it's one of those situations where you're like, what is wrong with people? That's all I ever find myself saying. One of these situations, I was like, it was vile. I was like, you have absolutely been the absolute worst there for zero reason. And as I'd then ended up going to the same place as said person, I was like, there's a part of me that really wants to say something, but not the best way to start a Monday morning, I would think. Yeah, it's an awful time of year. It really is. So, yeah. When you've got 4 kids and 3 of them want to go out for the day, and you're like, we can't go anywhere. As it was, we did manage to go somewhere. It was just took a lot of planning, a lot of back roads, and it was raining. And I was just white knuckling and holding on and hoping for the best. I was like, we could end up in a ditch or a field at some point, but hopefully we won't. Fingers crossed. I wish you all luck. I wish you all the best. Let's hope we get there. We have had a tough time this week here at CookieCast Towers. A dear friend of the podcast has lost somebody very dear to them, and it's been very difficult for everybody involved. Honestly, I can say this from absolute hand on heart. I can say this podcast would not exist without this person, and the fact that they have experienced or are experiencing pain at this point in time is very difficult. It's hard to watch somebody go through something. And it's a tough time. It's been very difficult in our house because when you care about people, and you care about other people, and you care about their well-being, and when they're not okay, and you want to do something, and you want to help other people, and there's nothing you can do, and you feel helpless, and you just want to help, and you can't, and it's a very tough time. And then you try and put yourself in the other person's position, and you can't because it's so much and it's so overwhelming. And it's been a hard time, and you think you're there and you're like, oh, it's difficult for me, but how awful it must be for the other person. And it's just been a very difficult time. And like I said before, it's a tough time of year, and when this podcast comes out, it'll be the toughest time of year. And it's important to speak to a loved one. It's important to speak to somebody you haven't spoken to in a little while and just say, how are you doing? How are you? What are you up to these days? I, a little while ago, reached out to a friend that I had not spoken to in a little while, and they had some bad news, and I was like, I'm sorry to hear that, but let's get together and catch up and so on. And it was great to hear from them, hear that they were they'd had a rough time, but they were doing a little bit better. And then recently I reached out to somebody, and I sort of said, it was their birthday, and I sort of wished them a happy birthday. And I was like, hey, happy birthday. And I was like, hang on a minute. They never responded to me last year on their birthday. I think that's not very nice. And then I scrolled up a bit, and it was like, hey, here's my new number. It's like, shit. So I pressed on this number, and I sent a message. I was like, I think I've been sending messages to the wrong number. And I got a message straight back. I was like, oh no, I've been messaging you for a couple of years at this point on the wrong number. And then I've been able to catch up with that person, and it's been really nice. It was somebody that I very much enjoyed spending time with, and spent a lot of time with, and it's been great. People are in your life for a reason. And sometimes people go and they come back, and sometimes people go and they're gone. But reach out to someone. It's a great time of year to reach out to someone. Hey, Merry Christmas. How are you doing? If you're not having a good time, or there are other people who are not having a good time, and maybe you could have not such a good time together. Like I'm in that sort of realm of I've got to sort this, and I've got to sort that, and is it enough? And I've got this whole thing about I just feel like something going on with each of the children, and does this child want to do this? And one of my children have got sort of some stuff going on with them, and then like another child's got some stuff going on with another child's going through a phase, and I'm like, these are all things that are part of the course, and it's just a bad time of year for stuff, and this, that, and the other. And then I come back to thinking about a friend who is dealing with an awful situation, and I sent a message today, and then the moment I'd sent this message, I was like, I don't think I've said the right thing there. None of that was what I meant. And oh no, now I feel bad because I've probably said the wrong thing. And I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I wanted to say the right thing because I was just trying to help. And oh no. And then they sent a message and they were like, no, you're wrong. And I was like, oh damn it, that's not what I meant. And I was like, oh well, this, that, and the other. And then I sent another message and I was like, now I've said the other thing that was wrong. And it's tough. It's tough when you want to do the right thing, but you don't know what the right thing is. And I don't deal with... Me and words don't go together well. And certain situations when you're supposed to say the right thing, I don't know how. I've never been able to deal with certain things, and I'm just no good at saying the right thing at the right time. I can say the wrong thing at the right time, and I can say the wrong thing at the wrong time, but very rarely the other. You just want to do your best for other people, and that something I've learned recently. I've had two real big learning development things this year. One is sometimes people will tell you exactly what they want. Sometimes people will be very clear with you about what they want and what they don't want. And if you choose to ignore that, that's on you. If you ignore it and then they're like, I told you I didn't want this, or I told you I wanted this, and you're like, yeah, but I know better, that's on you. And then, like, I think I'd spoken about a few months back, like having this whole thing where my daughter's highlighted one of my biggest flaws. It's like, well, Daddy would do it. And it's like, yeah, I fucking would. And it's wrong. And I need to change that for you. And I've done that. And then I think I changed it a little bit too late because I think I'm still dealing with some repercussions from it. And I'm like, this is why. This is why we don't act like this. This is why we don't deal with things like this. This is why we don't go about things certain ways. And since then, I've had to find other ways of dealing with things, and it's been a real learning curve. I've been really grateful for these things. 45 years old. A lot of it is stuff I wish I'd have known 45 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. So, putting these things into practice, I've had to say, I've said to my friend, look, here's what I would do naturally, just as my natural go-to is I would do this, and I will just absolutely smother you. I will check on you every 5 minutes. I'll make sure you're okay, or as okay as you can be, every 5 minutes. But I know you don't want or need that. So we have this sort of kind of unwritten thing that I'm allowed to contact them once. And if I'm honest, I've been pushing that a little, and I've contacted them a couple of times a day, morning and evening. And their agreement is, if you send me a message, I will send you a message back. And it seems to have been working for us, possibly up till today, where I don't know. I think I read a situation wrong, and that led me to say the wrong thing. And then I looked back at it, and I was like, why did I say any of that? I could have just said, okay, try and have as good a day as you can, and I didn't. And it's a bad time. It's a bad time of year. It's a bad time this year, and it's been a bad time in past years. And yeah, part of me wasn't sure whether to talk about it. Part of me was like, don't talk about it, then you don't have to deal with like, oh, let's talk about something awful, and now let's talk about what TV shows I've been watching. Part of me was like, talk about it, then edit it out. Part of me was like, talk about it and leave it in because it's for posterity. Talk about it and leave it in because it might help someone else. It's been like this thing of recent times where I've been like, if you need to reach out, and it doesn't necessarily have to be to me, who could be a stranger to you. Reach out. Let's move on. Let's talk about other stuff. I'm going to end up digging myself into this big hole of who knows what. Let's talk about some other stuff. I have watched a couple of episodes of Tokyo Ghoul Season 3. It's tough sledding, man. I don't know what the plan was. I imagine season 1 and 2 of Tokyo Ghoul will have been very successful, and I imagine the people who were involved didn't want to let it go. I feel it was a series that was absolutely done. It was finished. It was over. But like anything, where there's money to be made, somebody will find a way to keep it going. And I feel 3 episodes in, they should have probably just left it. I don't know who any of the characters are. It feels like it needed a series before this, like a lot of origin stuff, and they don't explain anything about who these people are. It's hard to follow. It's hard to know who's who. There are characters where you're like, is that so-and-so from the previous series? Yes, I think so, but they're different now. There's a lot of that. They're obviously trying to link the new characters to the old characters, but that just feels like crowbar. Again, I will say it again, I know why I never continued with this series, and honestly, I've not really rushed to put episodes on. But I will keep watching. I'm told that tomorrow morning and tomorrow in general is going to be horrific for weather. So I have a feeling it's going to be a treadmill run in the morning, which will be, plenty of TV, I'm afraid. Other TV, we finished Season 2 of Peacemaker. We watched episode 7 and episode 8. Again, not going to lie on this one. Not sure I enjoyed the way it ended. The end of episode 7, I really didn't feel all that great about. It really ended on a bit of a mess of an ending to an episode. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But if I'm honest, I don't think I like it. Episode 8 was going in a particular way. And it was very... I knew that James Gunn had already said that he has no plans for a third series, which... I was like, okay, fine. And they were sort of wrapping it all up, and that was all fine. And then they throw a massive cliffhanger at the end. Massive cliffhanger. And you're like... I don't want to be that guy, but that's a dick move. Reliably informed by James Gunn himself that these characters will probably pop up elsewhere, but that elsewhere will not be Series 3. I recently saw something where he has apparently said that he hasn't ruled out the possibility of a third series. However, these characters will appear elsewhere. And bearing in mind, I think we've got certainly 2, if not maybe 3, closely related Superman movies. So we can see on that one if those people appear there or not. So, having finished Peacemaker, me and Leo needed something new to watch. We have a list of TV series. Obviously, the elephant is in the room is that we haven't returned to Blacklist at this point in time. However, we wanted to give other stuff a try, have a little break, and I wanted us to watch Dark Wolf, which is the Terminal List prequel. For all its ups and downs, I did enjoy the Terminal List. As we started episode 1 of Dark Wolf, Leanne revealed that she never did finish the last episode of the Terminal List. I'm like, the fuck do you mean you never finished the last episode? Nah, I just never really got around to it. Cool, well this is a prequel, so it doesn't matter. First episode, hour and 10 minutes. By the end of said hour and 10 minute episode, did I agree it should have been an hour and 10 minutes? Yeah, actually I did. It was all heavily based in Afghanistan, when both what's his face and Chris Pratt, can't think of the guy's name, were in the military, and then the main character of Dark Wolf, who was also in Terminal List with Chris Pratt, gets discharged from the military, possibly dishonorably discharged from the military. And the TV series is going to follow a group of mercenaries, I believe, of which he is the lead. I imagine future episodes will be shorter, more in the 50-minute range. It did do that thing this season on Dark Wolf, and showed a series of clips from the series, and all in all, it looks very good. Part of the reason that I wanted to watch it was it did look good from the trailers I'd seen. So, kind of looking forward to that. Liam was most disappointed when I reminded her that we would have to watch some NFL this evening, so I can catch up for the NFL podcast, because she was looking forward to watching another episode, which is always a good sign. It's always good when she's on board to watch stuff, because it can sometimes be a little hit and miss. I don't think she was, like Series 2 of Peacemaker, I don't think she was too enamoured with it to start with, and sort of warmed to it. Movie-wise, the only movie I've seen this week is... I'm trying to think what the... Oh, I know what the children were watching the other night. Yeah, no. I took my son to the cinema and we watched the Paw Patrol Christmas movie, which it was a stretch to call it a movie. The first hour is an hour-long episode, essentially. It is Christmas-based. And the half an hour after that is basically just one long episode. They all centre around... the first one centres around Father Christmas is ill and can't deliver his presents. The second one is just an opportunity to get characters from previous movies in there. It is new. It's new for this year, so I didn't feel like we were in danger of having already seen the stuff, and I don't believe he'd already seen it. He really enjoyed it, and I don't want any medals, but I did manage to stay awake through the whole thing. Actually, on second thought, I do maybe want a medal for that. We can see. It was fine. I don't know how to say this without coming across as mean, but I was kind of hoping he would start growing out of Paw Patrol. because I feel as a series it's probably got to reach that point where it kind of knows it's dying off, so it's kind of trying to spark a bit more interest. They were doing like a dinosaur thing. They were doing there was another one, and then the recent one is they've been doing like knights, and I'm like, what has this got to do with Paw Patrol? They've got like new characters, and I'm like, yeah, this knows it's on its last legs. So I was kind of hoping that he might have started drifting away from it. Has recently picked up an enjoyment for SpongeBob SquarePants, which I'm all for. But no, still hanging on to that old Paw Patrol, so we shall see. Computer game wise, I've been desperately trying to get back to playing some VR. I've got a list of VR games lined up. I've got some demos to play for some games that I'm potentially looking at picking up, but just haven't had the opportunity. I'll give you an example. This week features a point in time where I was like, well, I've got podcast Monday evening, podcast Tuesday evening, nothing Wednesday, apart from coding podcasts, nothing Thursday, nothing Friday apart from all the kids for tea and stuff, and Saturday and Sunday. Within one foul swoop, I managed to lose another evening randomly to a podcast related thing, and then I lost another evening randomly due to having to go and pick something up. So I'm like, well, there's the week gone. But I guess that's life, especially this time of year. I've got 2 nativities this week, and depending how you count Sundays in your week, I've also got a dance show as well. So, yeah, busy time of year. So no VR, but I have gone back to playing a bit more of Where Winds Meet. The issue I have with this game is that it is solely designed around keeping you interested and keeping you playing without giving you the one thing you want to be able to do in the game. And although I enjoy the game as a whole, I would have liked to have seen some sort of progression towards unlocking some of these really cool things that you can do when I'm 20, 30 hours into the game. Because of that, it has been putting me off somewhat. DC Universe Online has had its winter season update and its winter instance and challenge and stuff. I've done it a few times. It's fine. If you get a half decent team, you can do it fairly quickly. Me and my eldest did the full thing, a full run of it yesterday. It went fine. Got a bit of a issue at the moment because we've got these sort of she's got her character, I've got my what has become my main character, but I've also got these other characters that need sort of bringing up in levels. I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little bit grindy at the moment because there's so much to do for so many different characters, and my number one character, I don't know how much I can actually do with them at the moment because they're almost max level, so it's a bit of a weird one at the moment. I've been deeply invested in my New Game Plus playthrough of Chronos: The New Dawn, mostly because it's playing how I feel it should have played all along. I think personally it would have been a much better game if it had had the option to play the way it's playing in New Game Plus. However, like I've said in the past, I do appreciate the fact that I have played and finished that game the way it should have been done. So, big thumbs up there. But honestly, I am loving playing it in New Game Plus. just picking up upgrades left, right, and centre, getting like guns upgraded left, right, and centre, and so on. It's just, yeah, it's good. It's good and it's fun, and I'm enjoying it, and it's really, really a lot of fun. I do sort of wonder if I'll maybe play it again. I do wonder if Father Christmas might bring me a PlayStation copy of it, but we'll see. Speaking of PlayStations, I picked up a game for £10, brand new. That in itself might be a clue as to what the game was, and that game was Mind's Eye. One of the more controversial games, probably since the release of Cyberpunk. This game had a very similar release. Kind of came out of nowhere, and there was a lot of, this was made by some of the people that made Grand Theft Auto, and you're like, cool. And it came out and it flopped harder than anything has ever flopped other than Cyberpunk. Why am I playing it, you ask? Well, very much like Cyberpunk, it's had a series of updates since its release, and recently has had quite a hefty update. So much so that people were starting to say that it was becoming quite playable. During the back end of Black Friday / Cyber Monday, there was an opportunity for me to pick it up for a tenner. And as it originally, before the reviews came out, was a game I'd sort of had my eye on, I was like, I'm prepared to give you £10 for a game that you're saying is better now. So that's what I did, and it turned up over the weekend. I've had it installed, and I played a little bit last night, and I think the worst thing is when you can say, I see what you tried to do. All the reviews are basically spot on. The driving is so incredibly long and not great. The shooting isn't brilliant. And you have no other options. Like a game that would benefit massively from some sort of hand-to-hand combat. The fact that it's missing is mind-boggling to me. There's been a couple of mentions throughout the time I've played it of them using this technology that they built to be able to make the game work for them. Has a reasonably interesting story. Some of the characters are a bit odd. Like, you don't know why characters are the way they are, but what has so far been the two main characters have been okay. I do find that the person you play as looks like, I can't explain it, but I feel like they look like Paul Walker a lot in the cutscenes. Yeah, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know whether I'll go back. It was tough sledding, I will say that much. But got to give these things a chance, don't you? That is it. That is the podcast. Difficult one to get through. A difficult time of year, a difficult time in overall. I can't say it enough. Please do reach out. Reach out to us. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to anybody. Just reach out if you're struggling getting your shopping done, and it's just taking a little bit too much out of you. Just reach out. Nothing wrong with saying that you're not okay. Okay. Take care of yourselves, people, and I will catch you next time. So there we go. What do you think of that? Hopefully not too tough for you. Yeah, it was a tough one. It was tough to get through. But if you made it this far, thank you. And as I keep saying, I cannot say it enough, and I'll never be able to say it enough. If you need to reach out, reach out. It doesn't have to be us. It can be anybody, but do reach out. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being part of this. I appreciate you all. Anybody that's given the podcast even 1 minute of their time, it means a lot. Before you go, if you want to keep in touch, you can click like, you can share the podcast around, subscribe, drop us an email, go to the website, click the email button. It's the cookiecast.com. You can get in touch with us any way you can find to get in touch with us. Please do. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I will see you then.
This is a Cookie Cast production.